Greetings all, D&Disability here. So, around 2006, Robert McRuer drops a book in our lap called Crip Theory. While I'm not really here to talk about the whole book, why you should read it, or even really what he argues, I am here to talk about what this book did for me, and, in some ways more importantly, what it means to disability at the gaming table. Now, albeit his discussions of gender identity and the heteronormative world that we live in and the neoliberalism that seems to piss every boomer off, McRuer asserts a relationship between queer and disabled identities. He draws parallels between the two and, according to at least my piss-poor understanding, functionally equates them. And to that end, he asserts this idea of compulsory able-bodiness, an idea that deserves more attention. In his words, I put forward here a theory of what I call compulsory able-bodiedness, and argue that the system of compulsory able-bodiedness, which in a sense produces disability, is thoroughly interwoven with a system of compulsory heterosexuality that produces queerness. That, in fact, compulsory heterosexuality is contingent on compulsory able-bodiness and vice versa. We only see people as disabled because we are obsessed with perfect bodies. We push people, rightfully so, to be stronger, faster, smarter. However, only the fittest, strongest, richest, and smartest get the spotlight. The average, and less than average, get shafted. Many disabled persons have little hope to be considered average by the measurement of standards of a capitalist society and are made disabled because of their inability to perform at the same level as, quote, everyone else. And despite the older generations and conservatives complaining about the quote-unquote liberal agenda, capitalism is what drives this normal versus disabled mindset. In McRuer's words, neoliberalism does not simplistically stigmatize difference and can in fact celebrate it. Above all, though, the appropriation and containment of the unrestricted flow of ideas, freedoms, and energies unleashed by the new social movements, neoliberalism favors and implements the unrestricted flow of corporate capital. So yes, even in this neoliberal age, we are still just a means of production, a slave to the bosses that hold us down and or the governments that facilitate such hegemonic relationship. If you are interested in this topic, I'd recommend Foucault. However, with McRuer's main idea out of the way and the due justice, let's actually get to the topic. Page 8 discusses the appearance of choice in sexuality and disability, and in fact, we are not really given a choice. We are singled out. We are othered for what we are. It's a question of, wouldn't you rather be like me, rather than you're fine just the way you are. This illusion of choice is central to RPGs. Wouldn't you rather play a superhero rather than a regular man, asks Gygax. Wouldn't you rather have a strength of 18 than a strength of 14? Wouldn't we want to assume you have 2 working arms and legs and a full range of mental abilities in your fantasy? And Gygax isn't wrong. He's speaking with the same neoliberal background that McRuer is discussing. And to be clear, this isn't a political background. This is the way the world currently works. Disabilities typically arise when there will be a challenge. Thus, you may have a player with disabilities never notice their disabilities simply aren't relevant. And McRuer says as much. According to the flexible logic of neoliberalism, all varieties of queerness, and for that matter all disabilities, are essentially temporary, applying only when and as long as they are necessary. However, queerness and disability are appearing now because society has made it necessary for them to do so. Players like me stand up and say we play disabled characters because the able-bodied ones of the past used to be the only option given to us. However, RPGs could do something interesting. They could break this able-bodiedness and disabled-bodiedness down. They could disrupt the dualism. They could start seeing bodies as a spectrum of abilities, My home RPG does this, as I said in my previous video, and yet that's still a discussion for another day. If you take nothing else away from this video, take this. View the disabled as a spectrum of ability that only names themselves as disabled because society has forced them to. Many reject the term entirely. We at D&Disability embrace the term while trying to change the world around us. The first step for us as D&D players is to allow disabilities at the table, both in character and out of character. We must accept disabilities if they come up, when they become relevant, and we also must leave room for players to play characters with disabilities should they choose to. Alright, y'all, I'm not going to come out with these talky kind of academic topics all the time, but I figured you might get a kick out of just seeing a little bit of my background research. As always, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see, if there is anything you'd like me to talk about. Like, share, subscribe, keep spreading the word. I plan on clearing at least over 200 subscribers this year, but we'll see how far we can get. Of course, Lord of the Rings and Lord of the Rings' take on disability might be interesting to a few of you. So, you can expect those sometime down the pipeline this year. As always, take it easy, guys. I'll see you next week.